despite all of Graham Nolan's virtue signaling over when Ethan attacked Chuck Dixon, Ethan Van Sciver, that is, and yes, he attacked Chuck Dixon, calling him a has-been multiple times, of course, because Chuck won't work for Ethan Van Sciver, and Chuck works for the Rippaverse. And with Graham Nolan sweeping for that, and of course attacking critics of Ethan Van Sciver like myself, instead of actually standing up for his longtime collaborator, a great guy, a real talent, somebody who is on the side of the right, on the side of God. He stands with the group that's going to make him a few bucks in the short term. That's what Graham Nolan did. It's sad, and we watched how his last campaign failed pretty badly. And then he launched a new one, which is looking on track to do very much the same. These guys don't have 1,000 backers anymore. Comicsgate has lost a lot of what's going on. And there was a giant fight trying to go at Graham Nolan because Jon Malin had a man-baby fit crying on the internet that Graham launched his campaign on the same day that his campaign was closing. Now, this happens all the time. When you got like a bunch of creators out there, you can never time things so that your campaign is open when another one's closing. Somebody's always opening a campaign or closing a campaign, is what it is. Now it's late in the year, and of course this is the worst crowdfunding time of year. People don't back a lot as they're buying Christmas presents and the like, and so it's when you're trying to get something out quickly, you do want to go before November, as Graham Nolan was saying. And it is what it is. Now, that wasn't enough for Jon Malin, and it ended up becoming like this talk-down smack talk on Graham Nolan. Like I said, none of the virtue signaling works. None of this happens. When these guys go into their cancel mob mode, you're over. And you can get kicked off the table, kicked out of part of the team. And that is exactly how these guys work. That's why I said it was a short-term operation that he was going for when he was validating this. Now, Edwin Boyette pointed this out perfectly as Ethan Van Sciver went really crazy over the weekend. He's telling Eric July how to do his business. Eric, get rid of NDA Andrew, Brandon, the Soskas, Carol Brown. All of those leeches need to catch street. Narrow your business down to you, your best and cheapest artist, a couple of warehouse guys who can handle getting your books printed. Produce one title written by you and drawn by whoever. It'll be a single book, but all your characters, 48 pages, twice annually. The reality is none of your customers give a F about any of these extra creators. They wanted to support you, liquidate your stock, try to get rid of your warehouses, sell your unnecessary assets, pay off your debts. Focus on making one great comic, as great as you can anyhow. Continue to sell the media rights to ISOM and Yaira and Alpha Core. Try building nothing into something while learning the craft of comics. Now, Eric July's made over $30 million in comic book sales. Very, very funny. Ethan Van Sciver, of course, has been declining quite a bit because he doesn't get his work done. As much as this is good advice for himself, focus on your own business, get your own book done. Get it out. I think people are. Well, how many years are you guys waiting for? Who backed Rainbow the Brute in the comments? And still, is it 5 years now? My gosh, it's ridiculous. But these guys are just shit talkers and shit stirrers on the internet. They don't care about comics. They don't care about the business. This isn't even like this is concern trolling. It's not even like legitimate advice. Edwin Boyette says this perfectly. Comicsgate is an exponential decline. In reality, it had about a year of relevancy. The COVID shutdowns bought it some life. Support because people were likely looking for some content that came paired with community. As it declines, it becomes less relevant. The remaining content creators will resort to more synthetic conflict in order to manufacture interest. The infighting will accelerate now as people look at exit strategies and some pretext to decouple their reputations from Van Sciver. Same thing with Jon Malin. Jon Malin closed out his deal, and he only ended with 867 backers. This is a pretty low deal from Jon Malin. 867 backers, under 1,000. That's why I was getting with my Hidden Emperor campaign around those numbers. So he has about the same amount of readers that I do, at least on different comic book crowdfund campaigns. Now on Amazon, I have a lot more than that, and it's very, very funny to watch these guys in this spot as they posture for a declining group. Now, Ethan himself probably only has 1,500, 2,000 backers at this point. So, of course, the guys who are just following and riding his coattails and sitting there and trying to cause drama and clout of it only get half of that or less. We're going to see even less with Graham Nolan's campaign, which launched Chinu 77. You can see he launched on last week. We're about a week in. He only has 358 backers. He'll probably end at around 800 backers also. So that's what they got now. It's really declining from what it used to be. His old Chinu campaign actually got 1,500 backers. So you could see exactly what it is. They're trying to milk more money out of less people. is what goes along with this. And so this has now gone to something that is half of what it was, of course, a few years ago. And that's a massive problem. So this is what happened on their live stream yesterday. I guess Ethan streamed about me too. He's been crying about me all weekend on Twitter, trying to cancel me, and it just doesn't work anymore. I didn't watch the live stream because I don't watch these guys for 4 or 5 hours. I was out at a hockey game like a normal person. And then this is what happened. Jon Malin is pissed at Graham Nolan, and EVS is like, why do I have to deal with this stuff? He's the victim, of course, in this entire thing. And he's pissed about the whole situation because there's a big blow up here between Jon Malin, his top lieutenant in this whole thing, and Graham Nolan. Graham Nolan is a prime target to be one of the next on the chopping block as they have less and less. You can't support this many creators, so they always go after somebody else to make sure that they're the villain and then kick somebody out. Graham, of course, might be on that list. I thought maybe Art T. Bear might be on that list as well as part of the thing. As it goes on, he goes on further. He says he hates streaming with Graham Nolan, that he can't joke, that Graham Nolan's a old fuddy-duddy, he's boring, etc. This is what Ethan thinks of Graham Nolan. Now, Graham Nolan, like I said, has been leeching off of it a little bit because he didn't have an audience of his own. His campaigns were not even funding to $25,000, $30,000. They were failing in those funding goals prior to that. And so he got onto this Comicsgate train thinking he can just like build a stock of cash out of it, I guess. And he did for a while, to be fair. But he did so at the expense of his soul, at the expense of like attacking Christian and conservative creators out there. This is what they do, right? And so it's very, very unfortunate because Graham does have the talent that he doesn't need this. Unfortunately, none of these guys are very good at marketing. And so now you see it begins. So after this whole kerfuffle goes along, he starts going off saying that Graham Nolan sucks to be on streams with, et cetera, et cetera. And, let's be honest. If you've ever watched these CG King streams, those guys all sit there. There's Ethan, who's like the one charismatic, funny guy. As much as he's obnoxious and as much as he's just like awful, he has that going for him. The rest of them kind of just sit there. Jon Malin and Shane Davis can banter at each other and act like idiots as well. The other ones sit there and wait for their turn to like go, hi, guys, I've got a new campaign open. It's a really good book. And they're very, very boring. They don't really have a lot of charisma, and that's it. And so that's the entire movement at this point. And the waiting for that, the waiting for the telethon element of the streams are not working as well as they used to be because the entire streams now are about attacking other comic creators. So you're losing a lot of comic creator fans that would have been crossover. So if you're an Eric July fan, well, you're probably not going to be just backing this book anymore at this point, right? And it's a problem for you that somebody else is like moving this telethon in that direction. Same thing, like people who attacked me, people who attacked Doug TeNapel, Mike Miller. There's so many at this point. It's like, okay, well, none of our fans are going to buy these books anymore. Dummy. Like, why would you do that? But this is what they've cultivated over the last couple of years with everything that's going on. And so that's what they've got. He's got more venting. He says he's got more about Graham. He does a Graham impersonation. He calls Graham boring. And so you can see that it's basically Graham's going to be the next on the chopping block here. As this goes along and there's a lot less people there, this is it. He says he was mistreated by Graham Nolan at the launch stream of his new comic, that Graham doesn't want to do drama and shit talk other people. New CG don't like that, which is pretty funny because Graham was totally fine to do it to the villain me when it was his thing to go along. It's very, very sad that I supported that guy when nobody else would. Back when he didn't have this little thing he was leeching off of, I was the only media outlet who ever covered his stuff, ever was. Never got a thank you, none of that stuff. It's as soon as it was convenient for him to just make sure that I was not a part of that, he would throw me under the bus, just like he threw Chuck Dixon under the bus. Very, very sad that Graham did this to his own partner over the years. But hey, this is who these people are. They really are there for like a quick paycheck. They don't care who they're going against. They don't care how badly it attacks the Christians and conservatives in the movement, because this is what they're all mainstream comic book people, right? And mainstream comic books are cutthroat. They've always been attacking conservatives and Christians. That's what they do. And so, yes, this is the next step of this, and it's very, very sad to watch. As you can see, it's sinking pretty badly as it's going on. So it's over, and this is sinking to a degree we have not seen before. We'll see who's next on the chopping block. I could see it being Graham here. Hopefully, I'll get an apology from the guy when that all happens, because it was very sad how that went down. But it is what it is. This is who these people are, and they're going to continue to circle the drain. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Hey, guys, I've got a Substack that's just comics, and you can read for free. I got a bunch of new signups over the weekend. Thank you for being here. Sign up for this in the description below. I've got my store also if you want to check out some books. I've got physical books, everything. While these guys are live streaming, I'm busy creating and working, and that's exactly why we're growing here, and that's why our movement is getting bigger every single day. Appreciate you guys being here. We're getting so close to 10,000 subscribers, too. We just hit 9,700 over the weekend. Thank you, guys. We'll be back soon.